Heartwarming act of kindness revealed. Homeless man turns out to be an incredible billionaire CEO. Tom shuffled through the bustling Midwestern streets, his coat frayed and patched with the stories of 1,000 winters. Each dollar he gave to a struggling family felt like a fragment of his very soul. His heart warmed as he handed a few coins to a mother with wide eyes and 3 children, just needing a hot meal that day. As the kids smiled and giggled, Tom couldn't help but smile back, feeling a warmth that was more valuable than gold to him. But there was something even more profound in his routine. Bob, the elderly veteran who held court on a weather-worn bench in the park. Snowflakes began to dust the grass, and Tom joined Bob amidst the laughter of children. "You know, Tom," Bob said, pointing with a gnarled finger, "these kids are our future. They need to feel the warmth of community." Tom nodded, lost in a mixture of gratitude and regret. He wished he could do more. As the city prepared for its annual Harvest Festival, a beacon of hope, Tom observed rising unease among families around him. Bills soared, homes teetered on the edge of despair, and smiles faded like the autumn leaves. The buzz around the festival echoed the sweet promise of community, yet it felt more like a distant dream for Tom, a reminder of what he longed for but believed he could never truly embrace. Then Sarah entered the scene, a fierce single mother determined to unite her neighbors. "We can't just watch each other stumble," she cried, rallying families to support one another, urging them to rise against the looming threat of eviction. Tom felt a flicker of hope rekindled. Watching her fight against powerful donors who valued prestige over compassion brought a tightness to his chest. He felt invisible, as if he stood at the edges of his own story, a ghost among the living. As winter's icy breath swept down the streets, a brutal cold snap gripped the city. Huddled beneath the weight of his worn coat, Tom found himself at the community center, a tremor of urgency firing up within him. His voice, usually so quiet, grew loud with emotion, echoing through the streets. "Look closer. We can't ignore the families that are one winter coat short of disaster. They are more than their struggles." The crowd was silent, and in that silence, Tom unleashed a truth that would change everything. He didn't just reveal himself as a man down on his luck. He was a reclusive billionaire CEO, stripped of his fortune but not of his heart. Gasps filled the air. This revelation pierced through the sanctity of perceptions, shaking the foundations of social dynamics deeply embedded in their community. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue, but the backlash was immediate. As Sarah organized her team for the festival, elite sponsors threatened to withdraw their support should Tom join the event. Would the community take a bold stand for unity and compassion, or prioritize the safety of appearances? Tom's unexpected journey ignited a battle between heart and status, leaving the community at a crossroads where true compassion and the familiar pull of elite pretenses faced off. Would they rediscover their humanity, or would fear of judgment silence the most authentic voices among them? Tom stood there, his breath forming small clouds in the frosty air, feeling the weight of countless stares. The faces around him mirrored disbelief, confusion, and a hint of fear. Who was he really? The man in rags or the hidden billionaire? He imagined their whispers, flickering like candle flames on a cold winter's night, some ignited by judgment, others by curiosity. Sarah stepped forward, her hands clenching into fists at her sides. "Tom, you can't let their fears dictate the truth. You're not just a story, you're a living embodiment of hope that we need right now." Her voice rang strong, but he sensed the strain beneath it. She felt the pressure of expectations mounting against them, like the heavy blankets of snow piled on city rooftops. "We have families counting on us," she urged. "They need leaders, not specters. You could be that beacon." Her sincerity cut through his doubts, and for a moment, Tom's heart swelled with the possibility of possibility. But shadows danced in his mind, reminding him of judgment and social barriers that could snap like brittle twigs underfoot. In hushed tones, onlookers began to murmur amongst themselves. If he's a billionaire, why wasn't he helping all this time? What does he know about struggle? These words scraped at Tom's insides. They pierced straight to the embarrassment he felt for living amidst those who needed the very help he wished he could provide. That he took a deep breath and stepped back into the light, the flicker of determination igniting within him. Because I chose to walk this path, he declared, his voice resonating with an unexpected strength. I wanted to understand, to connect. The money didn't teach me compassion, the experience did. I understand the fear of not knowing where tomorrow's meal might come from, and I want to help make that fear a memory. The crowd shifted at his honesty, uncertainty blending with empathy. Hope unfurled like the first blooms of spring. But not everyone was ready to embrace it. A recognizable silhouette emerged from the back, a well-dressed figure, crisp and polished, the local business tycoon, Mr. Harrington. You really think we'll let someone like you disrupt the festival? You could bring chaos, he sneered, his voice dripping with disdain. You threaten everything we've built. Tom felt the tension rise, a storm brewing. What you've built is already crumbling under the weight of indifference, he shot back, his frustration bubbling to the surface. A community built on the backs of the ignored cannot stand. The air thickened with anticipation, eyes darting between Tom and Mr. Harrington. Sarah, caught between them, desperately searched for a resolution. Can't we unite again? Come together not as labels or misconceptions, but as neighbors? As the snow continued to swirl like thoughts in their heads, Tom saw hope flicker in the eyes of the family surrounding him. He could see them yearning for change, waiting for a sign that their voices mattered. The first step was always the hardest, but they might just be on the brink of a new beginning if fear didn't win this day. With emotions swirling in the air like the falling snow, Tom took a bold step forward, ready to reclaim his role in this community. Let us create something beautiful. Together. But would the fear of judgment quiet their hearts, or could they embrace the vulnerability that came with compassion? The tension crackled, and all eyes were on what came next. Would Tom's revelation tear them apart or weave them closer together at the community's most pivotal moment? Tom stood his ground, heart racing as the wind whipped around him, carrying the murmurs of doubt and disdain. Mr. Harrington's smug expression was a reminder of the walls he had to break down. Tom swallowed hard, desperate to spit out words that could unite the crowd instead of dividing them further. The truth is, I've been living among you all for a reason, he shouted, voice cutting through the frigid air. I wanted to see the world as you do, to feel the weight of every decision, every hardship. If I've learned anything, it's that understanding comes from experience, not wealth. A soft gasp echoed from the crowd, and for a heartbeat, everything felt still. Then, breaking the silence, a woman stepped forward, her eyes shining with unshed tears. I've seen you at the shelter helping out. You cared when no one else did. Her voice trembled yet held a strength that rippled through the gathering. You've lifted more spirits than you know. Tom felt a shift. He recognized in her the struggle of survival, just like his own memories of sleepless nights and empty pockets. It's not about how much money I have, he continued, clutching Sarah's supportive gaze. It's about how we can use what we have to help others. Let us turn what feels broken into something beautiful. Let's make this festival a celebration of all of us. In that moment, the crowd began to murmur again, this time with hope lacing their words. Children stood straight beside their parents, eyes wide as they imagined the possibilities. But Mr. Harrington wasn't convinced. And what do you plan to do? You think we want to change everything because of one man's claims? He crossed his arms defiantly, throwing a shadow over the budding hope. As Tom grappled with the weight of doubt, Sarah stepped up beside him, her voice steady. Change starts with a conversation, Mr. Harrington. If we don't listen to each other, how can we find common ground? Just look around. Isn't the strength of community worth fighting for? The words hung in the air, waiting for a response. The crowd began to buzz, shifting viewpoints igniting like sparks. Tom glanced over the faces before him, the parents, the children, the elderly, all their eyes reflecting a mix of dreams and fears. If you give me a chance, he called out, we can work together to ensure this festival helps those in need. We can make it a place where everyone feels they belong. The wind picked up a flurry of snow, swirling about them as if the universe were enthusiastically agreeing. Murmurs of support rippled through the crowd, mixed with hesitant applause. Mr. Harrington's expression darkened. He took a step forward, but Tom stood taller. "What's the worst that can happen?" Tom challenged, locking eyes with Harrington. "You might end up caring about someone you never expected to. Isn't that worth it?" A hesitation flickered across the businessman's face, and Tom's heart thudded in his chest, a beacon of hope against the looming storm. In that moment, the beating hearts around him seemed to sink, pulsing with a new rhythm, a collective battle cry for change and compassion. Finally, Harrington's lips pinched together, expression caught between defiance and uncertainty. "If you think you can rally them, then do it," he sneered, turning away but not without a lingering glint of apprehension. Tom felt the weight of the challenge thrust upon him, knowing success wouldn't come without hurdles. It was no longer just about him, it was about each person standing by his side. The uncertain murmurs rose again. "What if can we really?" And as that newfound dialogue sparked to life, Tom's breath caught in his throat. "Yes. We can start now." But as hope flared brightly among the crowd, a dark shadow danced closer. What if Mr. Harrington had a plan to sabotage them? Would they be strong enough to hold on to their compassion? Or would the fear of failure extinguish the fire they had just ignited? The crowd's murmur buzzed like a swarm of bees, alive with shared emotions and unspoken worries. Tom could feel the warmth of transformation washing over them, but anxiety lay thick in the air, ready to suffocate the spark. Worrying glances shot from one face to another, as if each person were weighing their hope against the grim reality of their lives. "Are we really ready for this?" Tom thought, glancing at Sarah. Her unwavering gaze reassured him, but he couldn't ignore the chill of uncertainty clinging to the edges of the moment. He needed to channel the energy swirling around him, to refine that fervor into action. "Let us do something simple, something we can grasp onto," he finally said, taking a deep breath. "Who here would be willing to volunteer for the festival? You could help set up, share your ideas, or even donate a little food. We can create something that brings us together." Hands began to raise hesitantly at first, but one by one, more joined until the air buzzed with enthusiasm. Here was something tangible, something they could hold on to. "Count me in. I'll help with decorations," shouted a man from the back, his voice cutting through the tension. "I can bake. I know a recipe for cookies that everyone loves." A woman chimed in, a smile breaking across her face as she leaned over her children, who nodded vigorously in support. Every new voice seemed to dissipate the clouds of doubt, and with each pledge, a fresh wave of energy broke forth. Tom felt a surge of pride radiate from him, fueling the fire of this shared endeavor. But then Mr. Harrington stepped back into the fray. "And what, pray tell, will this festival actually accomplish, Tom? You think a few volunteers and some baked goods will do anything meaningful?" His words sliced through the hopeful atmosphere like ice. "They will change lives," Tom shot back, his heart racing. "They might even change yours. Each cookie you bake, each decoration you hang, can bring joy to someone who really needs it. You can be a part of transforming this community, but you've got to be willing to fight for it." The eyes of the crowd darted toward Harrington, waiting. The businessman's sneer faltered, revealing a flicker of surprise. For the first time, doubt flashed in his eyes. A crack in the armor. Tom stepped forward again, passion fueling his every word. "Let us show you what real power looks like. Let us start here today. Together, we can build something that no amount of wealth can buy. A true community." Support echoed back loudly. "We can do this." A voice called out from the back. "Let us make this festival unforgettable." The mood became electric, a palpable sense of possibility filling the space where doubt had once surged. Tom held his breath as a ripple of determination spread through those gathered there. He could feel a change blooming, roots growing in the familiarity of connection and purpose. But just as he basked in the warmth of hope, he caught Mr. Harrington's eyes narrowing, storm clouds gathering once more. Tom tried to shake the feeling of impending doom, but it clung stubbornly like the cold air. "Don't let them fool you," Harrington barked. "This won't change anything." His cynicism rippled through the crowd, testing the faith they had just kindled. Yet in that moment, as a chant began to rise, as hands began to lift and cheers bubbled up, Tom felt the true spirit of community embrace him. It was stronger than ever, a force that couldn't be easily dismissed. "Together!" someone shouted, and soon it grew into a thunderous chant, drowning out Harrington's voice. But as the unity soared, Tom sensed a shift. What was Harrington plotting? If their small act of kindness managed to stir this collective heart, what would he do to undermine it? The answer lurked just out of reach. Would their courage be enough? Would they remain united when the storm finally broke upon them? In the fading light of that snow-laden day, the question hung over Tom's heart like a heavy shroud. The chant faded into an echo, but the spark of unity still flickered brightly among the crowd. Tom felt buoyed by their shared enthusiasm, but just as a wave of hope began to rise, he couldn't shake the weight of Mr. Harrington's skepticism. The shadow of doubt stretched long, tainting the vibrant atmosphere they had created. "All right, folks," he called, rallying his voice once more. "Let us break into teams right now. I want everyone to think about what you can contribute. We have crafts, food, music, whatever sparks joy in your heart." The crowd moved, energy shifting and bubbling like a pot about to boil. Groups formed with excited chatter, each person beginning to share ideas, igniting laughter and enthusiasm. "I can bring my guitar," shouted a younger man, his face lighting up the dim evening with excitement. "Perfect. We'll need a lively band to play for the festival," Tom responded, his heart swelling. For a moment, he thought they might actually pull it off. The festival could be a celebration full of warmth, of laughter, and of community spirit, but just as he was enjoying the moment, he caught sight of Harrington again, who had slipped to the edge of their gathering. The businessman was on his phone, his expression cold and calculating. Tom's stomach twisted as a chill crept in. What was he up to now? "Okay, everyone," he called out again, pushing worry aside. "Remember, this is about coming together. This is our chance to shine. Let us meet tomorrow evening to share our plans and see how everything is shaping up." As the crowd dispersed, Tom found Sarah beside him. She was clutching a notebook, filled with doodles and ideas. "I think we could make a mural," she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. "Something that reflects our community's spirit, something everyone can contribute to." "Absolutely. That's a great idea," Tom nodded, feeling warmth spread through him. Ideas blossomed and excitement surged as they discussed what colors and themes might embody their shared journey. Soon, laughter and creative plans filled the air, pushing worries to the periphery. Yet as Tom reveled in the camaraderie, he stole another glance at Harrington. The man hung back, his phone pressed to his ear, nodding as if weighing the unfolding possibilities against his own agenda. Just then, Tom felt an unsettling instinct rise within him. What if Harrington wasn't just sitting silently by? What if he was maneuvering behind the scenes to undermine their newfound momentum? "Tom, you okay?" Sarah asked, her brow creasing with concern. "Just feeling something isn't quite right. I hope Harrington doesn't have a plan up his sleeve." "Don't worry, we'll stick together. We've got something real here," Sarah reassured him, squeezing his hand, her face fierce with resolve. As night fell and they wrapped up their plans, Tom knew he had ignited something precious within this community. But as the shadows danced around them and the chill in the air deepened, he sensed the storm brewing. His heart pounded. He had to make sure their ideas wouldn't get squashed by Harrington's disdain and manipulations. What would it take to keep their dreams alive? With each passing hour, Tom felt urgency mount. He needed to act fast, but how? Would he draw the community tighter or drive a wedge through their newfound optimism? As they parted ways, the hope from their gathering hung in the air, but so did uncertainty. The real battle for their spirits had only just begun. Would they hold on to the light when darkness threatened? Tomorrow would bring challenges, but it would also bring a chance to define their resilience. The question loomed larger than ever. Could they turn the tide against Harrington's looming shadow? The sun hung low as Tom approached the community center the next evening. His heart raced, filled with excitement and anxiety alike. He glanced around at the familiar faces, some of whom he hadn't actually spoken to until yesterday. But there was something undeniable in the air. A shared determination washed over everyone, softening Tom's tight grip on worry. "Hey, you're early." Sarah greeted him, her smile lighting up her face. She had her notebook tucked under her arm like a treasured possession. "Couldn't wait to see what everyone's come up with," Tom replied, trying to mimic her enthusiasm. As people began to trickle in, they took turns presenting their ideas. A woman named Maria brought in a colorful banner she wished to create, embodying themes of unity and hope. "It'll be a centerpiece for the festival. Something everyone can look at and feel inspired," she said, eyes shining with passion. Tom clapped, encouraging everyone's contributions. Each idea added to a tapestry they were weaving together. They laughed, clapping each other on the back. The tension from yesterday seemed to dissipate. But somewhere in the back of his mind, Harrington's shadow lingered. Then, the door swung open with a creak, and in walked Harrington, an unsettling calm about him. Conversations faltered, heads turned. The air thickened, and Tom's stomach knotted again. "What brings you here, Mr. Harrington?" he asked, forcing politeness through his tight-lipped smile. "I came to offer my support," Harrington announced, his voice smooth yet edged. "I think you might need a little guidance." Tom swallowed hard. "We appreciate that, but we're doing just fine on our own." Harrington's lips curled into a sly smile. "You might not be aware, but I have resources that could make or break this event." He leaned in slightly, locking eyes with Tom. "Such as funding." Voices rose in murmurs. "What does he mean?" whispered one. Another replied, "Can we trust him?" Tom's heart raced. Their hard work was at risk. "Look, we've got a vision here." He felt a surge of determination. "This festival is about the community, not about lining someone's pockets." Harrington straightened, a glint of amusement in his eyes. "And what if I told you that I could help elevate your vision?" There was a challenge in his voice, as if he were unearthing a deeper layer of something more sinister. Tom glanced at Sarah, who looked just as troubled as he felt. "We don't need help that comes with strings attached," she declared bravely, and others nodded in agreement. A wave of collective resolve surged between them. Suddenly, a hand shot up from the back of the room. "What if we pooled our resources instead? Maybe we can create something even bigger and better together." It was the guitar player from the night before, lighting up the room with his energy. "Exactly," Tom echoed, finding a glimmer of hope. "Let us do this on our own terms." The crowd buzzed with enthusiasm, rallying behind their shared responsibility. Tom watched the mood shift back to optimism. Yet, a gnawing worry nestled beneath that optimism. Could they truly sustain this spark of unity when Harrington's pressure loomed heavy? As laughter filled the space once more, Tom knew that the heart of their community was beating stronger. But could it hold? Would they find a way to fortify their dreams against a man so focused on his own ambitions? The meeting rolled on, vibrant and alive, but Tom kept glancing at Harrington, whose calculated expressions weighed on him like a threat. What was the businessman truly capable of? Tomorrow would reveal the first trials as plans unfolded. Tom absorbed the moment, still wondering if their bond was enough to stand up against the encroaching darkness. Would this community thrive in unity or crumble under suspicion? The next day dawned bright and clear, the sun spilling warmth across the community center as Tom arrived early again. He appreciated the cheap thrill of early mornings, the quiet before the storm of excitement. This time, though, something felt different. The urgency of yesterday lingered, like the wisps of fog that hung in the air. As he stepped inside, he found familiar faces scattered around tables. They were finalizing plans and organizing supplies. Tom closed his eyes for a moment, letting the hum of laughter and chatter wash over him. It felt good, like family. But somewhere in that joy, doubt crept back in, whispering reminders of Harrington's looming presence. "Morning, Tom," Sarah called out, breaking his moment of solitude. She was rearranging papers on the nearest table, determination etched into her features. Ready for the big day? Depends on how you define big, Tom replied, offering a half-smile. What's the plan? We're splitting responsibilities, she said, flipping through her notebook. Maria's got the banner sorted, and we're gathering supplies for the food stall. You should help with getting the music set. Everyone loved the guitar player from last night. Tom nodded, his heart swelling with purpose. I can do that. Count me in. Just then, the guitar player swaggered through the door, his instrument slung on his back. Hey folks! Ready to rock this festival? He exclaimed, a grin spreading wide across his face. The room erupted in cheers. For a moment, worries faded, and camaraderie flourished. As they dove into tasks, laughter bounced off the walls. Sarah beamed at Tom. See? We can do this. But even amid joy, Harrington's words echoed in Tom's mind, dark and seductive. It was easy to come together when things felt right. It was the moments of challenge that would truly test them. Before long, they moved outside to set up. Tom busied himself with arranging the sound equipment while chatting with the guitar player. The man was a bundle of energy, the kind of person who made everyone feel seen and heard. Can't wait to see how this all comes together, he said, fastening chords. The community needs something like this. Tom's pulse quickened. Yeah, it's not just about having fun. It's about standing together, showing everyone what we're capable of. But just as a sense of unity washed over him, the back door creaked open, and in walked Harrington again, a glimmer of triumph in his eyes. He surveyed the scene, arms crossed, like a hawk eyeing its prey. Nice to see you all getting organized, he said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. But tell me, is your plan really as bulletproof as you think? Chaos thrives in confusion, you know. Tom felt the air get heavier around him. The community appeared to hesitate, glancing from Harrington to him. Mr. Harrington, we're doing this for the community, Tom said firmly, his words stronger than before. We'll succeed without your guidance. The guitar player stepped forward, emboldened. Yeah, who needs strings attached? He strummed a few quick chords, sending a ripple of laughter through the crowd. Harrington chuckled, a chilling sound that resonated through the laughter, prioritizing fear over joy. Just think about what you'll lose if you ignore my offer, he shot back before turning and striding away, his presence casting a dark shadow over their gathering. Tom felt the unity begin to waver. He turned to Sarah, her eyes wide, uncertainty creeping into her spirit. What if he's right? She whispered, a mix of fear and determination in her voice. And just like that, the reality sank in. Could they truly withstand Harrington's shadow without crumbling? Were their bonds deep enough to face true challenges? Tom's heart raced. The stakes had suddenly escalated. They were all in, but at what cost? As the festival day approached, an unsettling question gnawed at him. How much could they sacrifice to retain their integrity? He felt the pressure mounting, and the question lingered: what sacrifices were worth it? The sun climbed higher in the sky, bathing the community center in golden light that trickled through the trees surrounding the space. Tom stood outside, clutching his guitar, trying to shake off the anxiety that's been gnawing at him since Harrington's last remark. Sarah was still setting up at the food stall, her smile unwavering, but Tom could see the flickers of doubt in her eyes when she thought no one was watching. Hey, Tom. You ready for this? The guitarist's voice cut through the tension like a playful breeze. We're gonna make this place come alive. Yeah, I don't want to let anyone down, Tom admitted, rubbing the back of his neck. He could feel the weight of expectation pressing down on his shoulders. The guitarist grinned. You're already doing it, man. Look around. People came here to have fun, to feel connected. He gestured towards a group of kids trying to assemble a makeshift stage out of old pallets. Laughter peeked through the strings of uncertainty, but just as Tom began to smile, gripping the guitar for reassurance, a shrill whistle broke through the cheerful atmosphere. It was Harrington, now flanked by a few men in slick suits, marching towards the community center with an unsettling confidence. Now this is quite the circus you've set up, Harrington shouted, surveying the scene like a judge strolling through a courtroom, ready to declare a verdict. But do you really think this? He paused, casting his gaze over the children, the smiles, the hope is going to change anything? Look, it's adorable, but let us be real. It's a play at best, a distraction. The joy around Tom seemed to shrink, as if the very air had been sucked out. People exchanged glances, uncertain, as if Harrington's words held some sort of weight. Excuse me, a voice piped up, strong and steady. It was Maria, the woman in charge of decorations. She stepped forward, hands on her hips. We may be a small community, Mr. Harrington, but we believe in each other. This isn't about money or promises. It's about heart. Tom felt a spark ignite within him. They were more than just a group of individuals, they were a family, a collective beating heart fueled by shared dreams and laughter. I agree, Tom added, stepping out beside Maria. Moments like these matter. They are powerful, more than you realize. Harrington raised an eyebrow, unfazed. Moments don't pay the bills, my friends, he said, his voice dripping with condescension. And you may just find yourselves back where you started, fragile and abandoned. Or we could find ourselves stronger, a soft voice chimed in from the back. It was an older gentleman from the community, one whose story had weathered storms. Unity breeds strength. Maybe that's something you wouldn't know how to appreciate. Tom's pulse quickened. The crowd began to ripple with quiet agreement. People were stepping forward, rising from their hesitant silence, their voices pulling together in defiance. For once, we're in control of our own destiny, shouted Sarah, her voice ringing clear. The atmosphere shifted. Tom felt it, the collective determination like a heartbeat, throbbing in time. Harrington's expression flickered, annoyance tightening his jaw. The community was standing tall, arms linked, first hesitant but growing emboldened, refusing to be swayed by fear, but amid the rallying spirit, something gnawed at Tom's heart. Could they withstand Harrington's onslaught? What if everything unraveled just as quickly as it had built up? All right, Harrington said finally, dismissing them with a wave of his hand. Enjoy your little show. Just remember, chaos is only a heartbeat away. Don't say I didn't warn you. He turned on his heel, striding away, leaving unease trailing like smoke. As he walked, Tom's chest tightened. One question kept circling in his mind. Had they truly banded together strong enough to face whatever Harrington was planning next? The festival was just hours away, yet uncertainty loomed like a dark cloud. What would be left when the joy of the day faded? Tom glanced at Sarah, whose resolute expression mirrored his own. Apprehension. Could they truly forge their path, or would Harrington's shadow prove too powerful? The next hour would hold the answers they dared not imagine. As the sun continued its ascent, the tension in the community center hung in the air like a thick fog. Tom stood immobile, his grip on the guitar tightening as he watched Harrington's retreating figure. The noise surrounding him faded, muffled by the thoughts swirling in his mind. Would they really survive Harrington's threat? Around him, the community was reassembling. Maria and Sarah rallied their respective teams with renewed energy. Laughter burst forth among a few kids, hidden behind makeshift banners they had drawn in bright colors. In that moment, Tom realized that even with Harrington's looming shadow, hope flickered in the hearts of those around him. What's the plan, Tom? Sarah asked, her eyes bright yet searching, gauging his response. He took a deep breath, fighting to shake off the fear creeping into his mind. Let us start with music. I can play something uplifting. She nodded, her enthusiasm igniting something in him. Tom stepped onto the makeshift stage. As he looked out over the gathering crowd, he focused on the faces he knew, their smiles, their hopes. He strummed the first chord, a cascade of notes spilling into the air. Music had always had the power to lift spirits, and right now, they needed it more than ever. The sound enveloped them, each note wrapping around the community like a warm blanket. People began to hum along, arms swaying and feet tapping. The warmth of unity spread, drowning out the earlier intrusion. The fear that had threatened to chain them began to dissipate. As the melody shifted and unfolded, Tom found himself gazing at Sarah. Her face radiated tenacity, and in her eyes, he saw the strength that had emboldened him to speak out against Harrington. Together, they could inspire others to reclaim their joy. Suddenly, the crowd parted, and Tom recognized Maria's father, Mr. Martinez, wading through. Despite his age, he carried an air of determination. "Tom," he called, gesturing to the side of the stage. "We've got food and water set up. This is going to draw folks in." Tom smiled as he recognized the support they had. It wasn't just about the music, it was the sense of community that stirred within him. Realizing the call to action was building, he strummed harder, the rhythm pulsing with hope. "Let us dance, everyone," he shouted into the mic, urging them to join him. Slowly, hesitant at first, the crowd began to move. A few brave souls stepped forward, twirling and catching one another's hands. The laughter mingled with the music. It didn't take long before everyone wanted to join the circle, smiles painting their faces as they broke free of Harrington's words. Tom felt alive, the energy surging through him. Each smile fueled him, driving away doubt, and he poured everything he had into the performance. But just as joy flooded the atmosphere, Tom noticed a commotion at the edge of the crowd. Curiosity pricked at him, pulling his attention away from the music. People were stepping back, parting like waves. A figure in a charcoal suit emerged from the throng. Tom's heart plummeted. It was Harrington, returning, this time with a determined glare. Before Tom could process, the man waved his hand for silence, disrupting their moment of bliss. "Not so fast, folks," he announced. "You think your little gathering here can withstand any real challenge?" Tom's mind raced. The elation from moments before crumbled as uncertainty mixed with growing dread. Why was he back, and what did Harrington want now? The community held its breath, caught between defiance and fear. Would they let Harrington disrupt the magic they just created? Or would they stand together, united once again? The crowd's tension was palpable. And in that charged moment, Tom felt the stakes rise higher than ever. What would Harrington unleash next? Tom stood at the center of it all, heart pounding as Harrington's icy presence pushed through the gathered warmth. The elation of laughter and music faded, replaced by a lump of apprehension growing in his throat. The community around him slowly stiffened, glancing at one another with uncertainty. Would they let Harrington's looming shadow eclipse their newfound camaraderie? "Let me remind you," Harrington continued, his voice cutting through the silence like a knife. "Unity can't sustain itself on empty promises. Hope can only carry you so far when true support is lacking. What makes you think this little festival will change anything?" That sentence hung heavy in the air, like an impending storm. Tom felt his heart race, blood pounding in his ears. But in that moment of fear, he could also feel the stirring urge for resistance rising within him. Because we're more than just ideas. Tom shouted, his voice breaking through the dark cloud. "We are the living proof that change begins here, right now. Together. You tell us we're foolish for hoping, that we lack what it takes. But we know better." A murmur rippled through those gathered, agreement bubbling to the surface, determination replacing doubt. Maria stepped forward, her expression fierce. "We've been waiting too long for someone like you to tell us what we can or cannot do. Our lives, our struggles, and our joy are not for your games." Tom's heart surged at her bravery, at the way others began to stand taller alongside her. It was like watching a flower bloom amidst concrete. "Everyone here has a story," he pressed on, gesturing toward the crowd. "We didn't gather just to dance, we gathered because we want to reclaim our community. Not for profit, but for love." Cheers erupted, voices ringing clear and strong, pushing against Harrington's dismissal. People were stepping forward, hands raised, eager to share their spirits. Children laughed and spun around in the snow, adults joined in the chorus, their fear melting away in the warmth of shared purpose. Harrington's facade cracked, uncertainty flickering in his eyes for just a heartbeat. "But really, what do you plan to do? Singing songs and baking cookies won't elevate you above the struggles of your lives. It won't fill the empty plates. Anger and desperation infiltrated his voice. "We're starting with what we've got," Sarah shouted, her fierce spirit ablaze. "And it's more than you'll ever understand. We can feed hearts, not just stomachs." The crowd roared approval, and Tom felt the surge of adrenaline course through his veins. This was the moment he had hoped for, the moment they all needed to stand together. Unwavering. It didn't matter if they were small or struggling, they were bonded through something immeasurable. "Let us show Harrington that we don't need fear to guide us," Tom yelled, arms lifting high. He took a breath and charged forward, his words bursting like a firework through the thrumming hearts in attendance. "Our festival will be a celebration of resilience, of kindness, and the strength we draw from one another. We may be called foolish, but this foolishness brings hope. Let us weave the story of our lives into something beautiful, something that rises beyond just our struggles." The community erupted in cheers, voices rising until they melded into one. Tom could feel the strength and determination around him, the way people extended their hands, grasping one another, leaning into this fierce sense of belonging. Harrington shifted, taken aback by their defiance, by the undeniable love radiating from their connection. With every ounce of courage, Tom pivoted once more, this time directing his attention to Harrington. "If you're not in this for our people, if you don't see the strength in our unity, then you don't belong with us. We don't need your funding or your guidance. We only need each other." The crowd surged forward, a wave of solidarity unfurling in response. The vibrant hum of determination buzzed through the air, drowning out Harrington's scoff. Tom felt alive. The fear that once plagued him was washed away by the tide of hope. He stepped down into the crowd, his senses flooding with joy as people hugged, held hands, and vowed that this festival would be different, a true celebration of love and community. And as the festival flourished, laughter mixed with music filled the air. Tables brimmed with shared food, eyes sparkled with warmth, and every moment felt richer than the last. For too long, they had whispered fear, now they were shouting with joy. The sun began to dip low, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, warmth spreading like a blanket around them. Tom looked around, heart glowing. Families, friends, and neighbors swayed and danced together, with Harrington just a figure watching from the edge of the joy he sought to extinguish. In that moment, Tom realized true wealth lay not in his past riches, but in this, a community standing tall together, nourishing the bonds that made them truly rich. And that, above all else, was a victory that no amount of money could ever diminish. As the last notes of music filled the air, he raised his voice, "Let us remember this. No matter what the world throws our way, we rise together, a family forged in love." In that extraordinary moment of unity, beneath swirling colors of togetherness, they became more than individuals, they became a force, ready to face whatever storms the future might bring. As Harrington retreated into the shadows, Tom felt only gratitude. They had chosen kindness, compassion, and togetherness. And that was the clearest victory of all. Now, dear friends, don't wait. This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to our channel so you don't miss any of our exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help spread the message of unity. Comment your thoughts, your reactions, and feelings about this incredible ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support matters. Let us keep inspiring one another.